Hello and welcome to Louise Singleton Creations. Today I'm collaborating with Inion Arts, who specialise in the art of resin dipping. They sent me the fuchsia solar light kit, which I will be doing first, and they also sent me the beautiful Physalis kit, which was my absolute favourite, and you will see that one second. I was super excited to try something that I haven't tried before, and it was so much fun. I really did enjoy myself with these projects. It also made a nice change to be supporting a small business. So anyway, if all that sounds really interesting, stay tuned and enjoy the video. When I first received my two kits from Inion Arts, I was very impressed. The packaging was very sturdy and well presented, and all the contents inside were meticulously wrapped. On the postcard, there is a password on the back so that when you go onto the Inion Arts website to view the instructional video, you can use that password to get access to the video. Everything I needed to make my fuchsia solar light was in the kit, including the solar light, the oasis, the floristry tape, the wire, the resin dip, the little tools for wrapping the wire, the beads, everything was there. The only thing I needed that wasn't there was my wire cutters. Inion Arts are very environmentally conscious, and they're striving to make sure that everything they use for the packaging can be recycled because they want to keep their carbon footprint as low as possible. I loved how they presented the little beads in that reusable plastic box. Thought that was really cute, and it's just one of those touches that you get with these small companies. A lot of thought has gone into it. So anyway, let's get on with the project. So today I'm just going to be giving you a demonstration, just kind of a walkthrough of me making these beautiful fuchsias. Because Inion Arts have very detailed instructions on the website, I didn't see the need to just replicate everything they've already done with their instructions. So I'm going to show you the basics and hopefully inspire you to have a go yourself. The idea of dip art is to make a wire frame which will be dipped into your acrylic resin, and the wire frame can be any shape or size depending on what you're making, whether it's a flower or a butterfly. This kit came with 2 wooden tools for wrapping the wire around, so there's no guesswork about how big to make each frame. It's there for you, you just need to wrap it around, and it couldn't be easier. Once I'd made 5 round petals, I needed to shape them in the same way they showed me in the instructions, which was a little bit like a squashed balloon. So I squeezed it at the bottom and then flattened it down at the top. Next, I curved each of the petals around the forming tool, which was also in the box. I'm doing it slightly differently to how they showed in the instructions. They assembled the flower petals all together and wrapped them all around the former at the same time. But I tried that and I was all fingers and thumbs. It was too fiddly for me, so I decided to do each petal individually, just to make sure it curved around that shape, so that when the finished petals are all put together, they will fold up nicely like a bud kind of shape. That was the idea anyway. I'm not sure I did it quite the way it was supposed to be done. Right, once all my petals were prepared, it was time to dip them into the resin. Now, I was a little bit confused when I heard that this was actually a resin and it's just one part. I'm used to epoxy resin, which is obviously 2 parts because you've got your catalyst there. And also I'm used to UV resin, which is 1 part but is cured by the light. I hadn't heard of this resin, which is actually air cured. And so it's very different. It's an acrylic resin and it's fabulous. So wait till you see how it works. Isn't that a pretty colour? I love that. At Inion Arts, they mix all their resins and so all their colours are unique to them. And they're currently making a lovely turquoise range. So I'm interested to see what that one will be like. So yeah, right, okay, let's dip the wire. Now I folded it over at one end because it makes it easier to put it into the oasis to dry. And it's as simple as putting it in, letting a little bit of the excess drip off and then sticking it into the oasis and leaving it for about, I would say half an hour, and then it's ready. Isn't that simple? And yeah, I love it. It's really addictive. I couldn't stop. So yeah, I did that to all the 5 petals and then we were ready to make the outer petals. So for the outer petals, it's the same process. The only difference is I'm using the bigger tool and I'm going to shape them differently. This time they are long and thin. So it's a case of making a large circle and then squeezing it so that it's a long thin shape and then bending it again around the tool to make them curved. Once I had 5 of those, it was time to repeat the process of the dipping again. So for the rest, I'm going to play some nice relaxing music and you can see for yourself the process because it really doesn't need much explanation. Once I'd secured all the pieces together with the floristry tape, then I started to arrange the petals. You could try arranging them before taping them together, but I find it too fiddly. It's much easier once they're taped together. And you can just twist them around and move them wherever you want them to be. Once that flower was completed, I made 2 more in exactly the same way, and then it was time to add them to the jar. And it was just a case of carefully placing them in and trying not to disturb the petals too much. And I actually used sticky tape on the inside of the rim to secure them. In the instructional video on the website, they use glue, but I thought it might be a little bit easier to use tape. I suppose glue would be the better option, really, but yeah, I think I was being a bit lazy. Once all three were secured into place, it was time to put the lid on. And before you put the lid on, you need to switch it on first so that the solar light will charge up and come on at night time. And this will be going in my garden. But let's have a look at it in action before I take it outside. So this was as dark as I could get my room on such a lovely sunny day, but you can kind of see the reflections that you get on the surfaces nearby, and I think it looks really effective, and I can't wait to see how it looks at night time in my garden. What do you think? I think that looks great myself. I'm really pleased with that. Next up, we have the Physalis kit. But before that, let me just give you a few bits of information about Inion Arts. Inion Arts is a small family business based in the UK. They specialise in resin dip kits and accessories, and they have a huge range, and it's continually growing as well. So yeah, they add to it all the time. So as you can see, there's lots to choose from, and that's just the flower ones. They also have Christmas kits and wreath kits, all kinds of things. And they also have a subscription kit offer, which sounds really interesting, and I want to know more about that because I like the idea of something new coming every month. At the beginning of the month, a different kit to do. So that sounds like so much fun. They have free UK shipping if you're buying a kit, but you will be charged for shipping if you're just buying the resin dip. And the other thing is they do only ship to the UK for the resin. You can buy everything else, but the resin, you can only get that in the UK. I'll leave a link to their website in the video description along with a discount code so you can pop along and see what events they've got going on, because they always have different events and workshops going on, and also to find out anything else you might like to know. If you have any questions, please give them an email. They're happy to answer any questions, and they're super friendly. They really are such lovely people. So without further ado, let's get on with the Physalis project. So from the two kits, I would say this one is definitely the more advanced kit, whereas the other one was much better for beginners. But I loved this one. This was my favourite of the two. The finished result was just stunning. And so what I'm going to do once again is just put some music on and let you enjoy the process. But I do apologise for this slight blurriness we've got on this clip. I don't know what was going on that day. Right then, the dipping for this one is slightly different. We need to make a kind of a hoop, like when you blow in bubbles. It's the same sort of thing as that. So we're making a hoop the size of my small tin here. So I'm just going to wrap the wire around that to make it. So now you're going to find out why I said that this kit was a little bit trickier. So first of all, you just need to dip the bottom of the Physalis into the resin. That bit's easy. It's the next bit that caused me a little bit of getting used to. I won't call it a problem. It was just a case of getting used to it. You've got to dip the hoop in and then dip the flower through the hoop. And that one didn't work, as you can see. It took me a few attempts before I got it to work. But when you see how it does work, it's quite satisfying. Here we go. It works that time. And it coats the whole head of the flower in the resin without touching the bead on the inside. It's quite magical, really, isn't it? I was really pleased when it finally worked. I think the thing is, as you've got the jar open, it starts to thicken a little bit. That is one thing I haven't mentioned yet. Don't leave the lid off the jar for too long. Try to work quite quickly because it will start to thicken. And, you know, if you do this a lot, it would be a good idea to buy some of the thinners that you can get, and you just add it to the tin a little bit and thin it down a little bit. It can dilute the colour a little bit, but that will help if your resin starts to get a bit too thick. And let's just watch another one just because it's satisfying. There we go. I love it. I could do that all day, I really could. Right then, let's get on to the leaves. The leaves are really easy to make. All you do is make a circle just in the same way as before, and then you get a straight piece and attach it at the stem and twist it around, and then you attach it at the point end of the leaf and twist it there, and then all you need to do is shape the leaf however you want it. So if you've never tried this before, just like me, you might be wondering how strong it is once it's dried. And I would say not very strong. It feels quite fragile, I'll be honest. Yeah, I don't think it matters that it's fragile as long as you're careful with it. But if you want it to be more robust, you can actually purchase a strengthener, which you would dip them in once they were dry, fully dry. You must leave them to dry for about an hour and then dip them into the strengthener if you really want it to be, you know, stronger and more robust. But these are quite delicate. Once your leaves and fruits have all dried, it's time to wrap the stems with the floristry tape. Now, I've never used this stuff before. It's really unusual. What you've got to do is give it a little stretch before you start. That's one thing. But then as you start to wrap it, you'll notice anyway that it's not sticky. I thought it would be sticky. It's not. I think it's got adhesive in there, and as you're using your fingers and twisting it, the heat from your fingers seems to activate it and make it all stick down really nicely. It's the strangest stuff I've ever used, but it's really good. I quite enjoyed doing all the wrapping. So once you've finished wrapping all the stems and the fruits, it's time to get creative and add them to the main stem. The main stem, of course, comes in the kit too, and it's a lot more sturdy. It's long and thin and strong. It's really good. So it works perfectly for the stems because they're going to have a lot of weight on them. And if you wanted to, you could find a photograph of a Physalis and to see the structure of it and to see how it's made up. But I was just using my artistic license and making it up as I went along. So I just decided to put 3 on the top and then to start adding the fruits down the side of the stem. And you know what? I enjoyed every single part of the process of making these, but my favourite two things about it were the dipping and then assembling it all at the end. It's so satisfying to see that final branch ready. And here it is, all finished, and I absolutely love this. I'm so happy with it. It really takes me back to my childhood. My dad used to grow these, and I used to think it was so magical to find that hidden fruit inside the lantern. They were just great, and yeah, I love it. I think it's so pretty. What do you think? I'd love to know. I've had so much fun with this, and I'm so glad that Inion Arts contacted me to try these out, because it's something completely new to me and I had so much fun, and actually I think I might be hooked. Well, we've come to the end of the video now, and if you've enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Don't forget to check out the details of Inion Arts in my video description, and I will see you again next week. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.